Hey everybody, it's Rachel's here from Rachel's Fitness and Wellness. We're in my kitchen again. Today I wanted to talk about, so my kids only have one more week left of school off for the summer, and then they go back, and I'm really bummed about it. I'm really upset because it feels like summer just started. So I've been getting a lot of questions lately from moms wondering how I pack my kids' snacks and wondering what types of things to put in their lunches and what I do for lunches and all those types of things. So I thought I would take today to answer your questions about that and to show you kind of the process that I go through when I make my kids' lunches. So my daughter is going to be in grade 2 this year, and my son is going to be in SK, so I have 2 lunches to make. My other son's just going into nursery school, so I fortunately don't have to worry about his lunch because they will feed him there. He's only there for half days. So I've got 2 lunches to worry about. And then next week, I would like to spend some time showing you the specific foods that I put in their lunch. So today I'm just gonna show you the process and how I get prepared. And next week I'll go through the foods after I've had a chance to stock up my pantry and my fridge and get everything ready to show you. So let's begin. I have 6 tips to make the process of school lunches a little bit easier, hopefully. And share them with you, and I would love to hear your feedback. I've shared a little bit on my Facebook page already. Let me start with the first thing that I find most important when making kids lunches, meals in general, dinners for your families, is to be prepared. So plan. It's always one of the keys to success. What I do, I'm on and off with this. So I have this binder called just my meal planning binder. And in it, I have some blank pages just to take some notes, whatever I'm wanting to plan for the week. So on Sundays, that's the day that's a little slower for me. I like to take Sundays to plan. I'll show you another thing that I like to do on Sundays. But I will sit down and fill out this meal planning binder. So in behind my blank pages, I have like a meal planning template. So if you Google blank meal planning template, you can find one that appeals to you. This one appeals to me because it's quite simple. It doesn't include weekends. I don't do a ton of planning on the weekends, but it looks like this. So on Sundays, what I'll do is fill it out. There's breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, and at the top, I don't think I have one filled out for this week, but on the top, I'll write down what snacks that we're gonna be focusing on this week, and I like to rotate it. And then in the back of my binder, I keep a whole bunch of, I don't have them whole bunch yet, most of them, but I keep a whole bunch of recipes for some of the, there they go, they fall all over the place, for some of the recipes that I use on a regular basis. So step 1 is planning. So what I would do on a Sunday is to get out some of my recipes, or Pinterest, that's my saving grace. And if you follow me on Pinterest, I have a ton of healthy snack and meal options for you. So I'll take my sheet and then I'll just write down what's for breakfast. Breakfast I don't fuss too much about. Maybe one morning a week I'll make like pancakes or scrambled eggs, but otherwise I keep it pretty simple. I don't do anything fancy. Lunches, so what the kids are gonna be having in their lunch, what their focus is. And then of course dinners. Plan for that. So that's step 1, planning, okay? Step 2 is prepping. So that's another thing I like to do on Sundays, is prep my food for the week. And that might look different for you, how you do it. Some things that I prep are veggies. So I chop all my veggies, wash them so they're easily, quickly accessible, which is great when you're making lunches. You can just grab a handful of this and throw it in their lunch. Or after school, when your kids come home, you have things that are healthy and already ready. So I chop up all my vegetables. I do carrots, celery, peppers, anything that you like to have at home. Or even for yourself or your children. My kids won't eat salad, my youngest will, but even if you're planning salad for the week, you can have a giant bowl of greens and chop all your vegetables and just throw them in there, or keep them in a separate container just to grab and throw on. Very simple. So veggies. Fruits you can chop up and make sure they're all washed. If they're not organic, you can wash them in a concoction of water and vinegar, and I always add a drop of lemon, doTERRA essential oils, just to help clean them if they're not organic. And I do that actually if they're organic usually as well. So wash all your veggies, wash all your fruits, and then prepare your fruits if that's possible. If you have blueberries, obviously you're just gonna have blueberries. But if it's something like strawberries, I'll make sure the tops are cut off because my kids love strawberries, so then it's fully accessible, ready to go. And when I prepare their lunches, I can just grab and put in. So on Sundays, when you're spending your time prepping, it might seem like you're investing a lot of time. I'd say 3 to 4 hours, depending on how many days you're planning for. But in the long run, it saves you a lot of time during the week. So if you're just grabbing things and chopping them as you go, it takes a lot more time than if you just do it all in one. So veggies and fruits. And where I'm from, our kids aren't allowed to have nuts in their lunches just due to the allergies. So I like to eat nuts. So what I do is I portion them out into snack size little containers. And this will be like a trail mix. So I'll just grab this and go for myself. And then I'll take a bowl and fill it with nuts, either cashews or almonds are usually my go-tos, and fill it with water so you're soaking them because they're much easier for your body to digest when they are soaked. So I'll soak them as well, which is super quick, doesn't take a long time. So fruits, veggies, nuts, and then anything else like eggs. If your kids like hard-boiled eggs in their lunch, Sundays are a great time to prep them. Grab a dozen, throw them in the pot with some water and boil them, and they're ready to go. Just pull them out of the fridge as you go. And what I like to do, what else? I like to bake. So usually on my sheet, I'll put 3 to 4 things that I know I'll be baking from scratch. And I'll cook them on Sundays. Usually my meals are really quick. I'm not one to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I have other places to spend a lot of my time. So I'll bake something really quick and easy. So I think the first week of school I've already got planned. I think I've got, what do I have in there? Like oat bars. And for those who can't do nuts at your school, you can always look into whether or not you can use sunflower seed butter. That's what I use. So it's just made out of a seed rather than a nut. And then anything that calls for almond butter or peanut butter, you can just sub in sunflower seed butter. There's things like chickpea cookies, black bean brownies. Those types of things I'll make on a Sunday, and I'll at least double the portion. And then I'll throw it all in the freezer. So as I'm making the kids' lunches, it's all in the freezer. I just grab and put it in their lunch, and by the time they get it, it's relatively thawed out. So again, I'll pick 3 to 4 different things that I know I'm making from scratch. I try to steer away from the packaged foods and the boxed foods. And next week, when I show you the foods that I commonly put in my kids' lunches, I'll show you some of the boxed foods just to get you started, or when you're in a crunch, just the things that you can grab that I find are better than others. But otherwise, I try to always just make their foods. So I'll spend Sunday doing that as well. So a lot of work, but once you have everything planned out, then your time on Sunday should be fairly efficient. It shouldn't be too much work or too strenuous on you, because you've got it planned out. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Find some quick recipes on Pinterest, and off you go. So that's number 2. So planning and preparing. Number 3 is bulk, which I kind of mentioned. So if I'm making cookies, I'll at least double the batch, and I'll make double. If I'm making, let's say, spaghetti or some kind of pasta dish, I will cook way extra so there's some left over for the next day. You can even freeze almost anything that you do make. If I'm making protein bars, I'll make double, usually triple, because I know my kids love them, triple the amount, and again, everything just goes straight in my freezer. So rather than taking time to individually make things every week or every few days, make a whole bunch of whatever it is you're making and then throw it in the freezer, or just portion it out accordingly throughout the week. So when I do salads, because it's all fresh, I usually make a giant salad maybe on a Sunday, and it's good for usually 3 to 4 days. So I have a giant bowl of my greens, and I like to chop my veggies and throw it right in there. So I'll chop up cucumber, celery, carrots, and pepper usually, and throw it in there. I'll grab some sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds and throw it in there. So it's this ginormous salad sitting in my fridge, and throughout the week I can just grab handfuls of it and put it in whatever container I need or a bowl and have that to go. Rather than making a salad every day, which is really defeating in itself, we tend to like the easy and convenient ways of doing things. Otherwise we don't want to do it, right? So if you can set yourself up for success on a Sunday or at the beginning of your week, it's way easier for you to be healthy throughout the week for you and your children. So that's another example of ways that I bulk, cook, or bake. Always have extras. Other ideas for kids' lunches, I'll kind of show you the containers that I use, and if I can afford it, I would love to buy, I can afford it, but it's kind of pricey, for a Planet box. I don't know if you've seen, they're like stainless steel lunch boxes with different sections in them, but they're way too expensive. So what I do, I usually grab these boxes, these little containers from Walmart. That's where I get my time. They come in different sizes. They're called lunch blocks. This is the larger one, and then we have all on the floor, smaller ones, and they come in all different sizes. So what I normally do is take one of these, and I have a whole ton of these silicone dividers. I got these from Michaels, which are pretty pricey, unless you can find them on sale or you have a coupon, but otherwise you can get them off Amazon. The last time I ordered them on Amazon though, they came straight from China, so they took a really long time to get to me. So, you can find them locally, that's even better. So I take these dividers and I usually end up throwing 4 in there. And I have a lot of people asking me what I pack in my kids' lunch, what kind of sandwiches do I get, and I don't make, my kids don't eat sandwiches for a variety of reasons. But what I normally do, I fill out 2 containers with these little dividers, and I just put whatever, and I'll show you next week the types of things that I put in here. So usually I have this, and then a second one. So I'll have 2 of these full of food. One for their snack, because my kids have 2 nutrition breaks, one in the morning and one a little bit later in the afternoon. So this would be the first break and then the second break. They like it divided, I think they like it divided up like this. I don't know, I've always just done it this way. One thing I find important when kids have lunches or meals, or even us, is to have a good variety of food. So this ensures that I'm putting at least 8 different things in their lunch. Variety of colors, a variety of types of foods. You want some kind of healthy fats, healthy carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, all those kinds of things. So this ensures that they have usually around 8 different types of foods. So I'll do these 2. Other things that I use, I have different shapes, dividers, so I can throw these in there. I've got like square ones, triangle ones, I've got a whole bunch. Sometimes I have luck finding these things at the dollar store. Otherwise, I also use, if I'm giving them soup or something that they want to stay warm, I just use the thermos containers. And then water, they get a container like this, which I'm not overly happy with them. They tend to leak over a few months, after a few months, but I don't love plastic, so I like these because they're stainless steel. What was I about to say? Oh, for water, I don't give my kids juice in their lunch. Yeah, I'll talk about that now. I don't give my kids juice. I don't buy juice for my home. If we have juice, I juice vegetables and fruits in our juicer. I find when I was a teacher, I taught for about 8 years, kids' lunches, yikes, they're really scary. Sugar is a lot of what I see. Things like, and it's none of my business, but things like Bear Paws, Goldfish crackers, granola bars, anything like that that are full of sodium and or sugar. You think about kids that are at school for what, 6, 7 hours a day, and they drink juice, they eat a Bear Paw, they eat fruit, snacks, granola bars, whatever else they have. Think about what that does to their bodies. So what happens is, to us, kids, whoever eats these kind of things, their blood sugar spikes really quickly, and that's when they get all excited, and you might notice a change of behavior. I know my kids, sugar affects them really quickly. And then they drop down, they get lethargic, their thinking isn't very clear, they have trouble focusing when they have low blood sugar, and they need another quick fix. So again, they eat some fruit snacks or granola bar and their blood sugar spikes again, and it's this big roller coaster. I mean, think about what children's poor little bodies go through when that happens, and they're supposed to be sitting in a chair like all day long, which is virtually impossible. If you fill your body with sugar, think about sitting in a chair for the next 2 hours. It's just, you can't do it. And then they get in trouble for not being able to sit or not being able to focus. And it's just this disaster that I don't think kids need to deal with, or adults. So I avoid sugar as much as I can. I mean, it doesn't mean my kids are deprived, as I know a lot of people have commented to me that perhaps my kids are deprived. We don't do juice boxes. We don't do Bear Paws. We don't do Goldfish crackers. I try to make sure they get good quality food so that when they're at school all day for like 7 hours a day, they can feel good, they can focus, they have stabilized energy. So again, I'll show you some of the things that I put in their lunch next week, but off track here. So what they drink water. I mean, water is what your body needs. Water is what your body is mainly made of. So you need water. For the people who say I don't like water, I don't know, I think that's a learned thing for a lot of people. You can add orange slices, lemon slices, mint. You can add things to the water if they're totally anti-water. Otherwise, they'll just go thirsty, because for my kids, it's just a non-option. Another thing I will do though, and I shared it on a Facebook page, my Facebook page not too long ago, is I'll make, either in the morning or whenever, I'll make a giant Vitamix container full of smoothies. I'll put a whole bunch of good things in it, like hemp seed and chia seeds, and I'll do a whole thing on that in itself. And then what I do, I have these, I didn't show this my last one, but I have these containers. These are from Walmart, but I couldn't find them the last time, so I hope they still sell them. They're just little containers, and you can screw the lid on and off. So what I do, I just pulled this out of the freezer, just why it looks kind of gross. I pour the smoothie in these containers, and then I put the lid on and I throw it in the freezer overnight. And in the morning I'll put it in their lunches, and by the time it's snack time or lunchtime, then it's smoothie again, and then they can drink it, and it's full of goodness. And it's something different that they can drink, but it's full of things that are going to help their body stabilize their energy, make them feel good. Yeah, because I put a lot of fats in them, which is great for children especially. And then if it's not fully thawed out, my kids, I'll pack them a spoon, and they like to eat it and pretend it's ice cream because they're pretty delicious. So those are the things that I like to give my kids for drinks. Way off on a tangent, sorry. Okay, so variety of foods, I talked about that, and also eating a variety of foods helps children avoid imbalances, and adults for that matter. So feeding your kids a whole variety of food and throwing not the typical lunch that you may see, where's your sandwich and soup, or where's your whatever is a typical lunch. My kids just get a ton of different kinds of snacks and a variety of foods, and it helps them avoid those imbalances and ensuring they get a full range of nutritional benefits from their food. Okay, what else do I have to say? A couple other small little tips for parents packing kids' lunches. One of the things, I know I hear a lot of people complain about it, and sometimes I do too, I won't lie, especially when my daughter had really bad food intolerances and there was like very, very, very little that she could eat. Packing her lunch seemed a bit daunting. Oh yeah, I have to show you this too. So one thing is just to try to change your perspective on making lunches. So rather than saying, oh, for the love of God, I have to make another lunch, or I've got to get up early to make a lunch, think about it more in terms of, wow, this is a great opportunity to fuel my kids for the day, to allow their bodies to feel great. Or thank goodness that I'm able to nourish my child's body. Think of all the people who, this might seem extreme to you, but this is the way I think. Think about all the people who can't afford food, or who send their kids to school hungry and they have to rely on a breakfast program, or who live in other countries who have like a small bowl of rice every day. Think about the opportunities that you've been given, again, maybe this is extreme, to provide your child with nourishment, and change your perspective that way so it doesn't seem like such a daunting and irritating task to make their lunches. And the last point I have to make really is pack when it's best for you. I know for me, I can't do lunches at night. As soon as my kids are in bed, that's it, I'm done. I quit. I don't function anymore. I just chill. So I get up early, and part of my morning ritual is to make lunches. And making lunches, I also listen to a podcast while I make their lunches. I love learning. I'm obsessed with learning. So I always have a podcast on. If I have a spare moment, there's usually a podcast on. So making lunches, I can relax alone. If my kids were around while I'm making their lunches, forget it. I'd be stressed to the max. So I do it before they wake up, and I have my podcast going. Awesome. And yeah, it's my time in the quiet, and I actually have come to appreciate making their lunches for a variety of reasons. Okay, I know I'm babbling on a lot. If you guys have questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer whatever you have. One other thing I missed, another thing that I wanted to mention about when I make my kids lunch, I pretty much always do a litterless lunch, which means there will be no packages, no containers, nothing for them to throw out, because what we do is mostly recyclable, or I buy in bulk, or because it's the baking that I've done, there are no packages. So on top of relying on containers and all these other kinds of things, I also use a lot of reusable bags. I don't love using Ziploc bags because they just end up in a landfill, or the kids don't recycle them, they end up in the garbage. I just don't love contributing to that. So I have a lot of plastic. This one actually I think was meant to be a wipes bag back when my little guy was little. So I use a lot of these. If I pack bigger things, like they love rice cakes, we just get organic brown rice cakes, sometimes with honey on it, sometimes with sun butter on it. So if I have rice cakes or something larger, I can pack them just in these little bags that are washable. And it's really great. Leave no trace of garbage behind. So those are kind of the ways that I pack my lunch, and as school begins in a little over a week, I will take some photos and I'll do videos with you showing you the types of things that I put in kids' lunches, because you might think, okay, great, Rachel, you have this container, you have 8 different sections. I can't think of 8 different foods to put in my kids' lunch, but it's really not that difficult once you get in the swing of things and once you start using Pinterest and your planning tools to plan it all. It's not so bad. So next week, next Thursday at 2, I will show you, I'll make a trip to Costco and our local grocery store, and I'll show you some of the foods that I like to buy in packages to make it a little bit easier before you transition. And I'll start sharing some more of the foods that I prepare in bulk as snacks for my kids throughout the week, either after school or at school or on the weekends. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck to all the mamas if your kids are starting school next week. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. And if you have any questions about, even if you have products that you regularly give to your child in their lunches, like goldfish or something like that, message me ahead of time or bring it up next week, and I will give you my thoughts and feedback on that food and if it's the best option for your child, because I know it's impossible to be perfect and to give them a full nutritious lunch. So I'll give you my thoughts on it, and I might even be able to give you a better option saying, yeah, this is okay, but if you go with this, perhaps your child will feel a little bit better. Yeah, I have so much to say on giving your kids sugary snacks during school, and you might not even realize what you give your child is full of sugar, especially if it has the words organic or gluten-free or those buzzwords on it. You might think it's totally fine for your kids. So if you have any products that you have questions about, just let me know and I will definitely address it. Otherwise, yeah, I'll stock up on my favorite things and I will share with you next week. All right, thanks for joining, guys. Have a great week.